would. Well, I just use the broken star, the stopwatch to slow down everything.
All right, so you going for an Eden run right now?
Yeah, I'm doing Eden. Trying to. My bird is distracting me. It's part of my extra challenge here.
You should make a nest out of your beard.
He was 4 inches deep in it. I think he was trying to make one.
That's amazing.
Like I looked down and my beard was just draped over the bird like a viney cocoon. I don't even know.
Hold on, I'm going to remind some of my followers where I'm hanging out right now. Just a second. I'm going to tweet out your. I'm hanging out.
Thank you. So I'm really excited for each week with the Afterbirth updates and stuff like that. The last one obviously was really exciting with the small rooms.
Those are going to significantly change a lot of how you play the play style. As you saw from the animation, it's you're really going to have to use your surroundings and be careful with some of the enemies. You don't want to destroy some of the obstacles because it'll prevent you from being able to dodge them.
Like the the tiny Monstro room looks pretty intimidating, almost impossible to dodge under certain circumstances. So I'm hoping it's not too impossible to not take damage in some rooms like that.
No, and Ed's a pretty marvelous designer when it comes to that. He's going to be testing it. We're going to be giving him a lot of feedback, and we'll get a lot of feedback during the polish phase of the game, where we'll make sure that we don't stick in a bunch of these guys in one room, and then you have to deal with a bunch of shit running around, bumping into you. So we're really trying to avoid the frustration factor, just add more fun to it. So, and the total amount of rooms, we're adding a little over, I think, 1,000 rooms. So it's only a 20% bump for Rebirth, but it's going to be actually a lot because you're going to see these rooms in use. You're going to see them randomly appear, and then there's also the L-shaped room. So it's a lot of new content on top of the additional features that we're adding for Afterbirth.
Yeah, I'm super... Oh, don't touch me. You touched me a little bit. I'm super excited. The Switch rooms look crazy. I really like the idea of the $3 bill changing. I don't know. That should definitely make it chaotic and interesting for sure. And
new bosses.
Trinket. Oh, I'm excited. Any new enemies and new bosses, I'm super excited for.
Bosses. And then what we really haven't talked about, and we won't probably talk about until we get closer to release, all of the new weapon combos. So, although we stuck in an inordinate amount of new weapon combinations in Rebirth, expect to see a bunch more in Afterbirth that won't be possible, or that won't happen in Rebirth.
Holy moly! I almost just kicked the bucket there. I'd gotten myself in a corner.
Oh, that's not the right.
It's okay. We're good. We're good.
Oh my gosh, that was.
It's only like a month's of work if we die down the drain. It's not a big deal, right? It's like 3 weeks. Oh, but with a break to E3.
Oh boy, I know. I'm sure E3 blew your mind, huh?
It is pretty nice. I didn't get to pick up any swag. There's not as much swag there, like as there is at PAX and stuff, obviously with the vendor booths. But
there used to be. My first E3 was in 1995. I think that was the first E3. And one of the first E3s, Nintendo had a Killer Instinct tournament for the Super Nintendo.
I love that game.
16 participants, and every participant walked away with a full leather biker jacket that has a giant KI logo on the back, and I still have that.
Oh, wow.
So
I love Fulgore.
Yeah, Fulgore was great. He was like a Ken, and you have Jago and all of the... I think the first one was really the most groundbreaking one of them all.
Yeah. Well, it's on the Super Nintendo. It was one of the best fighting games I'd ever seen at that point, too.
Yeah, and now it's I actually played. You probably didn't have a chance, but I played a lot of Street Fighter V at.
Okay.
At E3. But the exciting news is, if you're going to PAX Prime, you'll be able to play Afterbirth.
Ho ho ho! You don't have to make it to the hotel, the sneaky hotel room. Is it going to be like on the floor?
It will be in a sneaky hotel room, so it's
okay.
It's another sneaky pizza and what did I say? Pizza, pretzel, pancakes, and beer, because beer doesn't rhyme with
now, did you just set me up for the pancake comment so you like had that link ready? Like Northern Line was like, he probably had the link ready and was just baiting us into it.
I did not have it ready, but you know it. You just. It's a tough job being a professional troll, right? So you got to do it.
You are good at it. Thank you for the sub, Aden. I love you, man. Appreciate that support. Yeah, I have a pancake emote. It's like an eternal waffle pancake war between me and my friend. He prefers the waffles, saying that the cups each hold their individual syrup, but I like the way that the pancake evenly distributes it and soaks it into itself and the nice fluffy pillow texture that comes with it.
Have you ever seen the automatic pancake makers that they have?
I have not.
It's a machine that's actually a conveyor belt with the pancake mix in a bag, and it perfectly sends out this little lump of, or this goo of pancake mix into a conveyor belt that cooks it as it rolls out, and then on the other end you end up with a perfect little pancake.
Well, that sounds fancy. How do I pick up one of those?
I don't know, I saw them on the internet and I was in love. But I don't dare find out how much they are.
Waffles are actually the preferred between the two, so I'm happy being the underdog, but I still think that waffles are just bastardized pancakes. They're just like an abomination. They're all made of the same thing. I just want my fluffiness, not a crunch.
It's like a crepe should just be called a thin pancake.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, people throwing their crepes up in my face. Yeah. Like, please.
No, it's a thin pancake. So what are you? I want to know more about what you're thinking of for Afterbirth. You looking forward to the daily runs or to the super secret new mode that we're working on?
I am looking forward to the daily runs. I like the score system. The only thing that I am a little not concerned about, but have questions about is like with the way the point system is. It says you get extra points for Boss Rush and Mega Satan, but you also get points for going fast and spending less time on a floor. So my question is, do you have to actually activate and finish the boss rush to get those points, or do you just need to make the time to get there?
Well,
for example.
Well, some of the details will be revealed at a later time for the finalized ones, and we're actually actively testing to see, like, one of the first abuses that we found in testing was like if you died faster, you would actually get points. So there were things that initially we quickly, no, I wouldn't say patched because it's not even out, but we were in the process of testing. So, but the good news is that with the way that the system is in place, once people start playing, we'll see what the patterns are and if there's any abuses or exploits that people are doing, and we'll quickly patch the system and scoring system until it's to the satisfaction of the general playing group. So, but for you, what it'll make great is like now it'll make some tournaments easier. If you want to have a daily tournament, you could have a daily tournament.
I see. Oh yeah, from the dailies and whatnot.
Yeah, just set those up or however you want. But I'm still looking for your Balls of Steel tournament.
Oh, yeah, we don't obviously want to run that on top of Afterbirth because we're gonna stop what we're doing to play it. We don't know if we can squeeze another one in, but we are doing weekly. We'll be doing weekly Balls of Steel racing that anybody can sign up for. That you don't actually have to be like professional racer for. Oh, speakers. Echo.
Balls of Steel.
Balls of Steel.
That was just for you.
Appreciate that. That sounded good.
Yeah, now your echo's gone, so.
So, yeah, we'll be doing, like, weeklies, where they're not going to be, like... It's going to be different rule sets, different characters. It's not going to be the exact one we had for the tournament. It's going to be more fun stuff, but anybody can sign up. It's going to be time-based, so you're going to have, like, 30 minutes to get as far as you can. And then the person who has made the most progress will, like, obviously win the round or the match set or whatever. So, Diabetic, our friend's going to be running that. And, so there'll be some racing. Obviously, when Afterbirth comes out, we're not going to be able to jump right into, like, racing Afterbirth. We're going to have to see if there's any balance issues that we want to change, like with the last mod and whatnot. And also for the time stuff, it said that when you take damage, you lose 10 points. So it's supposed to reward you for playing well, but if you're getting points based off of speed, curiously enough, like, strategy happens to be, like, if you have a black card and you're in a big room, go sacrifice your black card to clear it more quickly. Obviously, right. Different things like that. So, if that system is the way it is, it will make it so that you have to judge: is purposely sacking my black card in this room going to save me more than 10 seconds? Because
yeah, there's a lot of depth to that. So, and with those large rooms, especially with some of the enemies, it obviously it's going to take a lot longer than that.
Yeah. That's true. That's what most people use them in, are the big rooms with the multiple enemies and whatnot. So I'm interested to see how the dynamic plays out with everything, and I hope the score system works out really well. Kramer, you just are an attention whore, aren't you?
He's jealous.
He is. He just calls at me.
Oh, it's 11 seconds in the past, but I just saw you get hit.
And it's no big deal. I'm like autopilot mode right now. Like if I want to try really hard, I have to just shut up, not talk to anybody, fully focus, and then I can like do lost runs. But when you're sitting here chatting, reading chat, multitasking, it's kind of like you just let your hands play for you.
And so remind me, you have I know you mentioned last night today you have a PS4, but do you have a new 3DS or a Wii U?
I do not have a new 3DS. The only reason I haven't picked one up yet is because they haven't made capture cards for them yet, to my knowledge. When they do start making capture cards and shipping out DSs that I can order online with those, I'm just going to buy one in bulk, so I don't have to like send mine out to get one.
There's a guy who does that. He charges, I forget how much, but he will actually hack open your 3DS and then give it like video out.
Exactly. So that's what I'm looking for with the new 3DS. I bought an old one, like the XL 3DS big version, and I never used it because I didn't have a capture card to play anything with, so I ended up giving that away to St. Jude charity for a kid who might want it. So I was gonna get a new 3DS with a capture card.
Awesome. Well, you'll definitely want to get a new 3DS if you want to play Rebirth on that.
I do. I like it on my PSP Vita, or my. It's really fun. I can play that like on the plane and stuff when I go out. I'm not as good on it though, because like the analogs are just so much smaller. Just
yeah, it's a bit of a different experience. Like you probably get cramped up after a while compared to playing with a PC controller.
Exactly. I can get through the runs, but yeah, a little more difficult. But it's a lot of fun and it's portable and it looks great. What
controller are you using right now? After you clear the next room, let's see it.
I've got a mini Xbox One controller. They're about $40, so they're a little bit cheaper than your average controller. And it's smaller on my hand, so I don't have to keep them as open as wide like I did the Xbox controller or the other ones I was using, so it's like less crampage. And I've noticed that playing on my controller 3 to 6 hours a day, I usually wear them out in about 3 months.
Oh wow.
So the $40 actually saves me some time. I probably should buy like a warranty or something. I don't know if that covers analog stuff.
So Best Buy has it for $5, so it might be worth trying it.
Yeah. I know they only will trade you out like once or twice, and they're like, you're cut off. Because I did that with a pair of headsets before. Like, they kept breaking. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I imagine you go through headsets pretty quickly, so.
Indeed.
Wow. It looks like you're doing quite well. Even our conversation isn't seeming to distract you from headed towards 100.
I'm working on it. I almost died the one time Edmund called me and first came in my chat, which would have been really bad a few years ago. So,
how do you feel about the? I mean, it's been a while already, but the change we made to Krampus for his room charge.
He really needed that because that item was broken. Otherwise, it definitely needed that. It was way too powerful. Now you'll see a lot of people taking it, but they won't use it on their floors like they were before to clear. They just specifically save it for their bosses, unless they think they can squeeze in an extra shot, which is really what it should be, and it's still even super powerful at that. On co-op, it's really good, because you get the double beam sometimes.
Yeah. I'd love to see some co-op tournaments in the future.
If we could, if we had the money and the means to, we're not, you know, we're pretty well off right now, but we definitely don't have the means to, like, buy a place and, you know, fly everybody out and stuff like that.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So, and we're gonna have a bunch of new babies for Afterbirth too, by the way. So,
great.
I don't know how much you like seeing those new babies, but it's going to be a lot of fun. There's hundreds of new babies.
Oh boy, we were doing a lot of co-op when Richard was here for the week and a half after E3. We did 10 character speedruns with the baby or the co-op, and basically any time that the baby can be in, he has to be in. Unless you're one heart or whatever. So we managed to finish all 10 characters in 3 hours and 14 minutes, which is a little bit below 20-minute average on each character, which is pretty damn good.
That's great. The way we scaled and designed and balanced the damage and the shooting and everything for multiplayer, actually, in some ways, depending on how you play and who you're playing with, it can be harder to play multiplayer. If
Oh,
they
it
don't,
definitely is. The
Oh,
baby
there's that-
job is really difficult.
Yeah, yeah. And there are a couple tricks, like with a baby. If you know you're about to get hit or you see something, you can always like jump out really quick. It's especially easy on PS4 with the option button being right
Yeah.
there. So there's a couple techniques, but I would say it's a pretty high level technique. So it's
We don't
not for
allow
everybody.
that in the co-op. We don't allow like jumping out to grab devil deals or any kind of manipulation like that. We try to keep it as challenging as possible because it's basically the reason for doing it. Thank you, Gamma Race, for the resub. You are awesome. We definitely had a lot of fun with the co-op. It was a lot more challenging than I thought, and it was a different pace. So definitely some different strategy involved there. We do allow the baby to jump in and out to steal a soul heart rather than a red heart if the extra soul hearts are made.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Because it does affect your devil deals. So
Well,
the
other issue is, I mean, I was showing somebody how to use the jump in, jump out multiplayer today, and you can effectively lose a soul heart if you do it wrong, and then you can't get it back. So it's kind of a trade, but
indeed.
it makes it for the average person. It makes it fun. We had to. It should be in for the PC version, but we added a mode where the second player is actually completely invincible.
Okay, yeah,
and that's
for easier introduction to it.
Kind of. It was actually a request. I kind of wanted to do something like that so I could play with my kids, but Edmund, coincidentally, at the same time, he wanted it so he could play with his nephew. And it just kind of makes it easy. So it's all up to the first player to get through the area and not die, and then the second player still feels like they're doing something without actually ruining the run.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Real quick, Black Morale just subscribed. Thank you, sir. Nilesy 3 months in a row, and Hugh Janus, thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. And Noah, 19 months in a row. Damn. Rapid fire subbage. I have a question, Nilesy. Are you Nilesy from Yogscast? Because he's been in here, and I tweeted at you the other day if you 69'd me, and I didn't get a tweet back. So I don't know if he's a fake Nilesy or a real Nilesy, but I was gonna ask him next time he came in here.
What's up, Nilesy?
Are you real, bro? Are you the real Nilesy? Yeah, man. Oh, okay. You have a sweet accent, Nilesy. Just saying. I like it. Oh, damn. Sorry. I don't Twitter much. Ah, okay. Well, that's cool. I was just curious. He also has been playing some Rebirth up on his YouTube as well. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, I need to spend more time watching a lot of you play the game. It's actually really fascinating. At the same time, it's actually pretty helpful to catch some of you seeing what you're doing with the game and how we can fix it and make it better. Like, I was giving the example today about how you can take great satisfaction in that you, Cobalt Streak, made Monster 2 much harder for everybody.
I'm glad. I like to make the game harder for people. Everybody's like, I'm like, oh, guys, this this room in the chest with these 2 little haunt ghosts is so dumb. Why isn't the room just empty? This room is so easy. They need to put, like, either the roaming heads or put, like, a ghost in every corner or have 8 of them in here to make it challenging. And people are like, Cobalt, leave our rooms alone. Leave our fast rooms alone for our speedruns. And I'm like, no, it's the chest.
Yeah.
I want it to be difficult.
Yeah, we'll fix Gurglings next as well. So that's an easy fix. So I really want, my goal with the bosses is always to, first of all, make them really fun, but also make it so that the exploits, to the chagrin of speedrunners, is that they can't be exploited too much. Obviously, you'll always be able to find something in a game and say, okay, I can do this. But if you're just sitting there and you're exploiting the boss, is that really fun? And that's kind of what it comes down to. So it's kind of it's a bit of a balance between making them really fun and making sure that the design is there and present and that it isn't open to player abuse.
I would even say that the girdling strat is actually a time waster. You actually...
Oh yeah, you waste more time. Yeah.
So the speedrunners prefer to just go in balls to the wall, and just try to kill it as fast as possible. But on a streak, obviously, when you're trying to really conserve health and you're not going to get the best start, that is the way to go, in my opinion, for that strategy. But it wouldn't bother me if it was fixed. Because, yeah, I like all that kind of stuff. And it's really weird sometimes, too, how, like, the hollow will get caught between, like, an invisible gap between the wall and the ground and kind of just, like, loom there, stuck for a little bit.
Yeah, like a brief pause.
Yeah, he just kind of gets stuck and just roams that little line. Here, I got the hollow right here. Let's see if he'll do it. I don't know. Sometimes he does it, sometimes he doesn't. He's really fickle about it. I'm just going to blast him. I got to cramp his head. It's only sometimes, though. It's really odd. Let's see.
Usually when he does it, it will be in a room that has pits instead of rocks.
Okay. I see. Well, those pills weren't too bad.
Oh no, run from the bomb.
Yeah, you've been streaming a lot more, though, lately. Just trying to get a good feel for the game while you're developing Afterbirth and...
Just trying not to forget what we're developing, I think, is a big part of it. And just is trying to, you know, get more involved with the fans and the players. But I've been playing a lot of, actually, the original Zelda on NES. Just as I'm working on some of the bosses. And I just want to make sure that we have a good feeling. But at the same time, what we're trying to do with some of the different things. Like the Afterbirth, I would say, is a very big departure from Rebirth. Whereas Rebirth is a full remake expansion, whereas Afterbirth, especially with the new mode incoming and with the daily runs, and eventually when you add a bestiary and all these new different types of items and different types of enemies and bosses, it's actually a bit different in terms of like it's different tactics and techniques. It'll feel a little bit different. The game isn't drastically changing. It's actually in a really positive way, and Ed's obviously leading all that, but we're having fun doing it. So I want to stay pretty grounded with Rebirth and make sure I know what I'm still playing. So I've been playing a lot of 1001 Spikes again too, as well, just because we're doing some updates for that. But so it's a little bit of a balancing and sharing my time between design and production, and then continuing to play the games to get a feel for them.
That's always good, knowing that the devs are actually playing their games and staying up to date with it.
Oh yeah, Ed plays every day still. He's playing Afterbirth every day, making the new rooms. We've made it's big on balancing the new items and the weapons, so it's pretty great to be involved with this whole team. I mean, there's guys on the team who have, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in the original, so they very much understand Isaac.
That's wonderful. Yeah, especially like Spider.
Oh yeah, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys on your team are awesome. I got the pleasure of talking with a few of them every now and then a while ago. And they all seem to be very, you know, gung-ho about keeping the game to its roots and trying to give everybody the best experience. And very community-oriented as well. Edmund obviously reaching out to Reddit and Twitter for suggestions and ideas, which a lot of them do make it into the game. Which is, you know, it can be a catch-22 because I might not necessarily agree with the majority of the people on Reddit or whatever sometimes, but then again, great things come out of it, so you can't really complain.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're sending out like a wide net like that and you're saying, hey, I'd love some feedback, and you get 100, 200 answers, even if you only get 1 or 2 really great suggestions out of it, that outreach was worth it, because that's something pretty valuable to us to make sure, hey, we didn't think of that, or that's a really good point that you're making, and we want to know. We don't just want to blindly continue developing the game and ignore what people are saying. And that was part of, for example, going back to your Krampus. That was a big one for a lot of people, saying like, oh, this was really abusive, this was really abusive, and just watching people play, like, yeah, I can see how some players might actually enjoy that, but at the same time, it goes back to my point, is it really fun? Is it really are you feeling really rewarded and satisfied while you're playing? And the right answer is probably not. Yeah, it might be fun to be super overpowered, and you know, it's like when
I like to earn my OPness.
Yeah,
personally.
exactly. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I used to love playing Doom in God mode, but once you start toying with that kind of exploit and those kind of secrets or abuses, it sucks the fun out of the game in a different way, and you're just running around just being a bully.
Yeah. No, that really needed it. Remember when I messaged you way back when and I was like, dude, this Dark Bum is OP. I never lose a run when I find him. And you were like, message Edmund. And I was, it's just funny to me because you guys patched that right away when the game came out. And I was like, I I got a little emote for it, and I love the Dark Bum, but he definitely needed a nerf. 1-for-1 heart exchange for him was ridiculous, especially in normal mode, where hearts are so frequent.
And that's the thing. Like when you're designing an item, a character, a boss, whatever it is, you think of a specific way. It's almost like in a sandbox, and you say, okay, I'm gonna design this character, I'm gonna design this item this way because I want it to be used this way. But you don't factor in how somebody. You can't, as a designer, you can't control how the player's gonna play. You can give them a path and you can give them suggestions, but it really comes down to how it's going to be done. And with a game like this that has some tournament-like personality to it, as far as like how the characters roll and how everything has changed, then it's really important to make sure that it's as balanced as it can be. And obviously, it's never going to be perfect with so many items and billions and billions of combinations.
Yeah.
You can't make it perfect, but you can get close to making sure that it's just really fun and instantly gratifying.
So I have a question about an item that... Oh, my bird. Oh, man. Gross, Kramer. I don't get how you poop so much. Like,
I ask my kids that all the time.
jeez. This is the one bad thing about getting him out. Like, I have to put this like shirt over my shoulders for him to have the poop zone and toilet paper ready. At least they're not messy.
I thought you were going hunting.
Hunting? What?
I thought you were going hunting, and that's why you were wearing the orange.
Oh, no.
I didn't notice that was just a shirt. I thought it was actually like an orange jacket.
Oh no, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I may live in the South, but I'm not a hunter. Oh hell, what was I gonna? Where was I going before that?
I don't know. You got distracted by the poop.
Yeah, I did. Let's see. We were talking about items and balance and Dark Bomb and.
You said you have a question.
I do. Oh, yeah. Okay, so for the original Binding of Isaac technology, the synergies technology had with other items, I felt like looked a lot cooler because the more damage you got, the thicker your beam would be. Until you could shoot Zeus-like looking tears, and now the Zeus lightning actually still had the exact same line of regular technology, even though it looked bigger. Like, it still would only hit in the same space, since obviously there wasn't like the making the tears bigger like aspect. But with Rebirth, it lost technology, lost a lot of that flair just because the synergy didn't look as crazy anymore. And I was wondering why you guys decided to go with a change on the look of that, or is that something that you guys even took into consideration?
I mean, yeah, you remember when you're talking about like when it's like a big thing, almost like a giant lightning bolt. Like, I guess a Zeus beam is a good way to describe it. You know, for that one, we probably just ran out of time. I'll probably ask Edmund about that one, but there was no particular reason. Some of it I know it can be attributed to actually being pixel art, whereas since the original Isaac was vector art, and it's pretty easy to stretch and skew pixel vector art.
Okay.
If we decided to do that, and I'm gonna message somebody right now.
You have to draw individual like phases of pixels for each upgrade or whatever in size.
Exactly. So we would have to, because since that beam is 1 pixel, almost 1 pixel wide, if we stretch it, it wouldn't look particularly good. So, but that's a good point. I'm going to, given that we're going to have a lot of, oh, this is a tough fight. Given that we have time and a desire to improve the weapon combos, then that's something that I'm probably it'd probably be worth investigating and seeing what we would do, because it's like it's a pretty cool effect, and also it doesn't, you know, going back to the point about balance and OP, you can get technology, but getting it with something that's going to do that or modify it doesn't happen all the time, so it still makes it worth it. So and we can always balance it by adding an additional factor like weight, like, okay, if you have this, and then how often is this going to happen? So yeah, consider me considering it. How's that?
Oh, awesome. That's great. Yeah, I was wondering because of all the new item combinations and stuff like that. And honestly, tech, for a lot of people, if they're have hours invested into the game, they know it's kind of a useless item unless you have like homing or quad shot or like a Ludo tech. It's a very situational time they'll take that. You'll never start it. It just seems almost like a dead item now because it doesn't synergize as well. In Tech 2, even so, awful. It doesn't spawn guppy flies like it used to anymore when it shoots. So to me, those are kind of like dead items. And Tech Point 5 though is great. Tech Point 5 is the best. So I'm glad that I still get to shoot some lasers off. But I was just always curious about that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think it came down to making decisions that were good for the game, but also some of the stuff, like I said, with so many weapon combinations and item combinations, it just comes down to a matter of time. But with Rebirth, we had a pretty hard deadline, and we were really trying to make sure that the game was amazing and to the level that we needed it to be for release. And with Afterbirth, the development cycle and schedule, it's a lot more relaxed because all of you are now playing Rebirth. So it's not like you're waiting for this amazing new game. You have the game, and it's effectively holding you over until we're ready to give you Afterbirth.
Pretty much, and I'm looking for a lot more game time play in Afterbirth with the dailies and with the new game mode, which I'm really excited to hear about. I'm really glad that the daily mode wasn't the new mode he was talking about.
No. It was I was Ed and I seemed to more or less agree generally on everything design related, and I told him early on, I'm like, I really want to do daily runs and I want to have leaderboards. And he's like, that sounds awesome, let's do it. So and on the other end, he had this other mode that him and I had been talking about for a long time, and he's like, this is going to be awesome, it's going to change how people play Isaac. I'm like, wow, this sounds really amazing, we should do this. So that's kind of what spawned this idea to try to it all happened organically or almost serendipitously, but Isaac Afterbirth, as I said, is very different than what Rebirth is, and not in a bad way. I mean in a really, really great way. At least, obviously, I'm biased, but I think you'll be happy. And the other good news is, Ed has alluded to it, but we're going to give every player a reason to beat Mega Satan with every character now.
Oh boy.
So,
I'm excited because I love the idea of Mega Satan. I thought the boss was great. It just really... I didn't understand why there wasn't any unlocks associated with him. Because it felt like once you got there and you beat him, it was great, it was awesome, the fight was great, but then there was like no reward for it.
Yeah, it was, I mean, to be honest, I think with Mega Satan, he's one of the bosses I designed, and it was kind of an oversight as far as like we designed him and he was fun, and it was just a really good time to play against him. Going back to what somebody said in the chat room, he wants a fun game versus a balanced game. You can have both, and with Mega Satan, I think we tried to make him somewhat, as balanced as we could, but also make him fun.
Yeah.
But because we were so focused on like, hey, let's do this and this and this, it literally probably was just an oversight to say like, oh, what should he unlock? And we didn't want to necessarily shoehorn something in at the last second, because that would everything in Rebirth has generally been very well thought out. We've really tried to make sure everything is done for a reason, and then to add something at the last second, it would have been a disservice to the game, and it wouldn't have felt right. So once we finished Rebirth, we were able to evaluate, hey, okay, you beat Mega Satan, what happens and what do you get for it? What does it do? How does it affect the game? And so now we have a good reason and a good solution for that.
Oh, wonderful! That's fantastic. Mega Satan unlocks Lilith, says Hercules.
Is Hercules reading our design documents? Uh-oh.
Oh,
Hercules,
man.
I'm going to lock
Back
you
of
up.
the system. That data miner.
Exactly. He's Edward Snowden. That's his online handle.
I'm going to do my best not to cheat, or I don't know, like with the whole Lost thing, it was like, yeah, we could have gone against the grain. We could have, gone and solo unlocked everything and killed ourselves over and over again for a month and filled out the whole thing. But I feel like that almost defeats the point as well, because I feel like what you guys did was you put that in the game as almost like a treat for the community as a whole to be able to work together and unlock, and everybody...
That was the purpose. That was
exactly.
Yeah.
And once the information was already out there and people were spamming it in my chat and it was all over Reddit, that defeated the whole purpose of the community coming together, and it would have just been an arduous task that my partner Richard and I would have had to have taken on almost stubbornly to go against the grain there and to do alone, knowing how to do it already. So I don't know. That was where we stood basically with that. We obviously didn't want to like jump ahead or unlock anything unfairly because of an advantage of data mining, but
Yeah.
It's just that situation.
And to clarify, like, oh, hold on, I have to cut myself off. Hey, how's it going, Red Royalty? But Ed and I weren't really angry about what data mining happened. It was just more of, hey, we wanted people to experience the game on their own. So I understand that there's data miners who enjoy the challenge of going through the source files and trying to find the secrets and trying to find what's there. But for us, Ed and I have been really careful about what we show for Rebirth and for Afterbirth as well. We really want to be careful, and we make a conscious effort to try. Nice shot with Krampus right there. We make a very big effort to try to just make sure that we're considerate of players who haven't gotten everything, who haven't seen everything. It's like it's like the old Star Wars joke of spoiling, the relationship with Darth Vader and another character in case somebody actually hasn't seen that movie here. It's been 30. It's been how many years? Or 38 years. So maybe it's past the statute of limitations.
I think we do like 15 years is the general. Like, sorry, if you haven't seen a movie in 15 years, you're screwed.
Yeah, but I wasn't born. Well, yeah, that's your parents' fault.
It is.
So yeah, I think with Afterbirth, like I said, there will be a lot more in it with the daily runs and the new mode and some of the things that aren't so reliant on data mining or not data mining, where it's not like The Lost, where we really wanted the community to get together. And I remember when Ed was describing, what you had to do to do all this. Like, wow, this is crazy. It's going to take people a long time. And again, going back to your point about balance and exploits, for example, with Dark Bum, we weren't anticipating, and we should have. We weren't thinking like, oh, okay, there's going to be people who just explicitly go through the binary and look at what's in there to try to do it faster than we intended. And it wasn't like, oh no, we're never doing this again. It was just like, oh, we should have thought of that. But at the same time, it sucks for people who didn't know. But at the same time, for those who don't know at this point, as you said, it's kind of moot because, well, it's out there.
Exactly. Because it would have taken us forever by ourselves, and the community's not going to sit there and help us do it when they already know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So we could have filled it all nice and got all the puzzle pieces, but it would have just taken time at that point. Because we were working on it. We were going and looking for the pieces for like 5 or 6 hours, and trying to help them all put those pieces together on Reddit. And we were going to start sending them in, but it got spoiled before we could get too far on it. So
yeah, but it was still sad. I mean, personally, it was still really satisfying when we were pretty busy that first week when the game launched, because our plan for the first week was launch it and immediately spend a week or two making sure we were patching the game. So that first week, there wasn't anything super major, but we were just making sure that it ran on as many setups as possible. But as much as I could, I was enjoying watching what the fans were doing, and I watched sort of the Reddit transition from this anticipation and this build-up where it's like, oh, what's next? What's going on? I don't know what's going on, and this really incredible community sense of hype to turning into this like, oh, I found this and I found this. Oh, check out this. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. And it was just like you could refresh that Reddit page for Isaac over a few seconds, and there would just be posts and posts and posts going on about it. So it was really fun to watch that grow. And like you said, with the puzzle pieces and everything, at least initially, it was the what we wanted to see, we saw. Not in a grand scale like we were expecting, but we definitely did see it like we thought we would.
Well, I hope that everything goes according to plan as far as unlocks and secrets and whatnot in Afterbirth. We got 1069 from Mats the Norwegian. The small shack you so generously gave me by the pier in Cobalt Land is now the central hub of all handy trade in the kingdom. Thanks for that. Keep being you. Thank you for the donation. I like your creativity. People get a little crazy here sometimes with their...
Crazy is good. Yeah. And then to Uber Dominator, how's it going? Good to see you, everybody. Hello, everybody else. Can't keep up with the chat. That's awesome.
Yeah, they go a little. It gets rough sometimes.
But I will also answer a question I've seen a few times. Is that you'll find out on Monday. They're asking about the Wii U, new 3DS, and Xbox One release date. So we will announce that announcement on Monday.
Oh, wonderful! I'm excited. Will that be part of the weekly announcements, or like will that take the main spotlight, or will a little more afterbirth teasing.
You know, usually Ed sort of chooses what we're teasing. I know he's been working on the levels, so I can tell you the date will be good for a lot of players who haven't, you know, who choose not to play on a PC and really want to play, or who maybe don't have a PS4 or Vita. So I still consider it pretty exciting news, especially if you have a new 3DS and you have no new 3DS games to play. Because as of right now, I believe that Xenoblade is still the only game that's really available as a new 3DS exclusive, and this will be the first eShop game for new 3DS, and it will be the first third-party game as well.
Whatever happened to the days of like releasing a system and you had like 5 awesome games ready to go?
Oh man!
Like Super Nintendo, the Super Mario.
I miss those days.
Yeah, they had. I mean, it even included the games it used to. Like
Yeah,
1 or 2 games in there.
Even into the Nintendo 64 era, you had Pilot Wings and Super Mario 64 coming out at the same time, and that was just those 2 games were really amazing for their time.
Followed up by Ocarina of Time, like, get out of here. So good.
Ocarina of Time, the best game ever.
Pretty much. It's like my favorite Zelda game.
Yeah, me as well. Years ago, I used to work for a magazine called Tips and Tricks, and I had the privilege and the sort of torture of writing a strategy guide for Ocarina of Time.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but it was a good time.
Oh, I'm getting stomped right now. This is not good.
I know. I think it's might be a good time for me to be quiet or step out pretty soon.
Well, that's on you. Actually, I'm gonna be fine. I have faith in myself here. Usually when I start getting low health, I'm like, oh, alright, time to really start trying hard now. Just turns it back on. This bird, Kramer. Oh. Oof.
Uh-oh.
It's about that time, Kramer. Put you back up. He's being very vocal right now. Come here. Yeah, fly. Fly around, sure. Cool.
I hear his wings flapping, but I've got to wait a few seconds to see him moving.
He just did like a swoop across my area here, back and forth.
Oh, there it goes, there it goes. Look at that.
People were like, are his wings clipped? I'm like, no, he can fly like an eagle. He just likes to chill on me a lot. Can you comment on the reset button for consoles? They were still looking for a good way to do that last time I checked, but honestly, guys, it doesn't matter because you can't use our modded file to race. What are you gonna do, race with it? Like on the PS4? It's impossible.
I think the point that a few people are making is like with loss, but if you time it, I'm going to do it on the 3DS right now. Hold on. Let's see how fast I can reset on the 3DS version. 1 second.
It really only matters for speedrunning though. Like honestly.
So new run. Let's see. Okay. I'll tell you when I'm in the game. Hold on 1 second.
Otherwise, exiting out, that's what you have to do on Eden speedruns anyway, and it's annoying, but it's not that time consuming where if you're not counting every single second, you know?
Yeah, I'm on 3DS, which has the slowest loading times, and it was under 5 seconds. So yeah, I can see how it would be frustrating. But if you're speedrunning or if you don't particularly like a run, but I think for 2 points for me, I usually never reset on a run. I just even if I have a bad start, I just keep going. It seems like more of a waste of time to restart than anything else. But on the bigger issue is on console. We've effectively run out of buttons, and I'm not going to implement a reset until somebody's convinced me of a reset that is better than it is worse. And right now I've gotten suggestions for like, what if you hold these buttons down for 3 seconds? Well, if you hold them down for 3 seconds, it would have taken you less time to restart.
Exactly.
Like, through going through the menus. Or what if you do, up, down, left, right, BA select start, joking aside, an input. I don't want somebody to accidentally push in the L3 and the R3 together and in the heat of battle against Mega Satan or against Mom, and then lose their run because they accidentally did a reset. It doesn't seem that important to me.
The initial reset where you hold the buttons for 3 seconds would have to trigger like something similar in the PC version, where if you hold it, it keeps resetting until you release, like instant resets, because that way you're moving through your floors. Basically, what people are basically looking for is just an item room start on the first floor. That's not XL. So I don't know. Like I said, it really doesn't matter. You're not going to be speedrunning or racing on your PS4 because it's not going to be modded. Like, the 5 seconds, if you're doing a lost run and you're on your PS4, the 5 seconds really isn't that big of a deal, I don't think, personally.
Yeah, and for Afterbirth, if people do intend to participate in daily runs or intending to support Afterbirth for PS4 and probably Vita, the daily runs will have a score, but they'll also have a time filter. So if that's an issue, we're already taking care of it for you. And since the daily runs are a specific seed, resetting won't matter because it's still going to be the same seed every time.
Guys, I just don't understand why you need like the 3 extra seconds when you're not speedrunning. You're saying it doesn't matter to me, but like I just don't get it, honestly.
And somebody said, Falcor said 5 seconds is a huge deal, but it's 5 seconds on 3DS. The 3DS has slower memory than some of the other hardware. So on PS4, I can reset in like a second or half a second. It's very quick. We've made the menus pretty quick to navigate through.
I mean, what I do when I want to reset is I just kick my PlayStation, and that's pretty much my reset button. So it takes a little bit longer, but it's more satisfying that way. Yeah, I don't know, guys. It is hard.
If we find a good or great solution, I'm open to it. As I said, until that solution presents itself or is presented to me, then right now I think for the general player, it's better to have the not reset than to have it.
We're gonna have you spell out the word reset with your finger on the touchpad portion of the PS4. That's what we decided to go with there, guys.
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, if we hadn't used the touchpad for the map, we could use that, but at this point, like I said, the map on the PS4 is actually, I use that functionality a lot on the Vita and the PS4.
That's my favorite part about the PS4.
So I wish there was a way to do it on PC, like maybe we push plus and minus on the keyboard, and you can scale it, but you still wouldn't be able to necessarily move it around.
Yeah, maybe in the future where we're all using touchscreens, which I'm not excited for, but you know it's going to happen eventually. We're all going to have touch monitors that we can mess with.
Yep. I've been messing around with the new Surface Pro 3, and it's actually really fun. I hate to admit that, but it's a pretty amazing, well put together device. Like it has Windows on it. You can download your entire Steam library on it. It's SSD. It's got an okay video card. I mean, you're not going to be running 3D, but it does have a touchscreen, so it is kind of a hybrid laptop.
That's pretty crazy. Just imagine how nasty like 3 touchscreen monitors would get in the future, like when we start using those.
Peanut butter all over one side.
Oh, you sneeze a couple of times and you're in trouble.
Yeah.
It's gross. You're gonna have the little wet wipes. Maybe they'll make self-cleaning ones though. Who knows?
Like I should patent a little, instead of a windshield wiper, it's like a touchscreen wiper. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Best idea. Wall Surface can't even run Minecraft. How do you know? It could be the new updated spanky version.
Yeah, which Surface is it? The one I'm using specifically is called the Surface Pro 3. And it's got an i7. I think it's like 12 gigs of RAM. The video card's not that powerful, but it should be able to run Minecraft. Although Minecraft, I believe, is written in Java, so it's not necessarily going to be the most optimized game.
I don't imagine that we'll be seeing Isaac on the iPad or a touch screen anytime soon, but I've been wrong before about that kind of stuff, so...
You won't see it soon, but it is a consideration. Ed and I have talked about it forever, but it's sort of, we have to prioritize everything, and right now the order of priority is we needed to finish Rebirth on consoles and get it out there as fast as possible within a certain time period, and we did that. And then also finish Afterbirth. And once we've done that, then we can go back and say, like, okay, are we going to go and try to port it to iOS? We probably wouldn't ever do an Android version, but we would do an iPhone version. But we might do it, and we might say, oh, you know what, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. It's not unlikely that we might say, like, okay, it's only available on iPad, or it's only available on iPhone for this reason and this reason and this reason. But we'll give it a shot. We'll port it. And if it doesn't feel good, then it'll probably never be released.
But my problem with things like that is like you have to hold your screen on your finger on the screen somewhere to bring that like analog up. Like I have Final Fantasy VI on my iPad, and just moving around the game is really annoying.
Yeah, it is, and that's why if we did if we did it on iPad, the idea I have, for example, is imagine holding your iPad like an original Game Boy,
Okay.
and all the buttons and all the input would be on the bottom portion, and then so you would not ever be obstructing the screen.
Oh, that's the way to go for sure. Like you'd have basically like a little analog that's preset rather than the one that pops up on your screen somewhere when you click it.
Exactly. It'd be like a little. It looked like a little arcade machine.
Okay. Yeah, I like that idea.
So
Yeah, that's a good solution.
that's the sort of initial idea, but we won't know until we port it and then start trying.
I mean, Isaac works really well on my my Vita guys, and that screen's pretty small, so I think it works even like on an iPhone or something. Some of the iPhones are a lot bigger, so it just depends on your screen and what you use. But I like even on my Android, I don't think Isaac would be a problem at all if there was dedicated areas for my fingers and I got used to it. And thank you, 569 from Whirls Gone Bye Bye Birdseed Fund. Well, thank you very much. I'm sorry if I miss anybody resubbing or subbing. We have a guest today on the stream, so a little bit different than our normal day stream here. Gimpy has been just really pulling through for me this run.
Yeah, I see that.
All right, let's get our gangster on. No more getting hit by Isaac. He's not hard, but he's not easy.
How do you like the new Isaac versus the old Isaac?
I love the new Isaac. I don't like the new Blue Baby, but the new Isaac's good. He's still got the little bit of RNG in the second phase. You have to make sure you strategize to be able to push that through real quick. The third phase is the easiest. Obviously, once you get the patterns down, even though when you first start doing it, it's a little intimidating with all the beams of light running everywhere. But there are very set areas that you can run to in the corners that are easy to get to. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Oh, very close.
I just feel like the Blue Baby should have his own kind of, like, I'm flying away, dodge this kind of mechanic for a second. Because where he's at now, you can just burn through him so fast because he's always on the ground, unlike Isaac. And there just isn't there isn't that RNG, that little bit of RNG like the beams of light and stuff give you for Isaac.
Yeah.
Which actually the RNG on that fight was cleaned up a lot, considering the first game.
Yes.
Because it was way more RNG before.
Well, the first, I think when Ed had asked for us to revisit Isaac, the boss, and so I spent some time looking at it and trying to give each one a personality, and with that one, it's kind of like a theme of what we're doing with how he fights. So that's why, like you said correctly, it's like the third phase can be the easiest one, but the trick is it's still not necessarily easy, and getting to there is a bigger challenge than anything else.
Yeah. Like I always save my Krampus head for the second phase of the fight, since that's the RNG fight, since one Krampus head blow will generally push you through a phase. So I push through the second phase to get to the third phase, which is the easiest. So I burn him down with my regular tears right away, or maybe with the meat cube, since the meat cube is super powerful in Rebirth.
Yeah, it is.
Orbitals in general, like the sack dagger in the first game was one of the worst items, and now it's been flipped around. It blocks tears and does a ton of damage. It's one of the best items in the game, one of the best orbitals. Whereas the Guardian Angel, it was taken out of a lot of the normal pools and put into a very specific angel room, and then it's still not even that good once you get it anymore, because it moves so fast you can't put the damage down for it anymore. So it's just lots of little things little decisions that made the item, relevant or non-relevant. It's pretty crazy.
I'm doing all right in this room right here, given the circumstances.
Not too bad. Dark Adversary. Worst part about him is that when he starts cross-firing on you, if you can burn one down quickly or even get them to jump on the same side of the screen, it becomes a much easier task to deal with.
He was a fun one to design. He was a good time. We really had a fun time sort of coming up with these new ideas. It's all the new, well, not all of them, but a large portion of them are sort of theme and phase based, and that's obviously it's very clear as you're playing them. And that's how they're different than some of the original Isaac bosses and characters, and even some of the enemies obviously have different personalities than the enemies in the original game.
Now, obviously, you guys went with even the new bosses. You have basically a living version of the boss that you kind of stumble across. And then later in the game, you can find other versions of the boss. For example, the Mega Fatty, you find him, you kill him, and then later in the game you got the Cage, who is obviously a dead version of the boss, missing his head, his stomach's been ripped open, etc. But what we don't see a lot of is a lot of these bosses having champion versions of themselves. So, is that something you're going to be incorporating more, is going back to these new bosses and creating champion versions for them, like the old versions of the bosses? Or are you guys going to be just sticking to focusing on new bosses and creating like the Living Dead versions as we've have kind of been prevalent through the game?
It'll be more of the latter, where you see us. We will be working on the new bosses and we will be working on the new content, but that doesn't mean we won't go back and do it. I'm a very big fan and proponent of developers, where possible. I know it's not always feasible for some developers, but where possible, updating your content and giving the players free content. So, for example, if you've bought Afterbirth, and all of a sudden there's a champion of a boss that wasn't there 2 months ago, and where did this come from? Well, we put it in there and through a free update. So that's still something that I want to consider and want to do. But for right now, I think it will be. We want to give you guys all the new fresh content.
I swear you guys have added new rooms since I've got the game, because I'll wander across something and be like, I don't remember being in here, and I've been playing for 1,000 hours now.
Yeah,
So-
the rooms, we have a very specific way of how they're generated when you see them, and what how they're weighted. So it's there's 5,000 of them. So even if you happen to see 100 new ones a day, it would still take you 50 days to go through everything.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's great for the player. You got a double Monstro 2 in here. Looks like you're.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's annoying. He's hit me a couple of times. It's okay. I'm gonna save my Krampus head for the boss, obviously, which is right here.
That's the right way to go.
But it does seem like we're gonna get through this run.
From right now, my guess is yes. It's just Monstro's inordinate amount of health.
The problem is, as well, the fear on these guys. They get really unpredictable when they're feared. Like, they jump in opposite corners of where you think, and yeah, it almost makes you not want to pick fear up a lot, but I'll still take Dark Matter because I like damage, and Abaddon.
Well, once you have 2 Monstro 2, the big challenge is once he starts to spawn the red flies, because they're actually more trouble when you kill them than when they're not dead.
I just try to get them out of the way quickly.
Yeah, it kind of prevents you. You kind of have to fire in one direction and just keep moving and time it so that you don't get shot by by Monstro 2's bullets. Ramming speed. Oh, and here you go.
Let's clean it up. So the homing tears are just about the only thing that should nick you every now and then. I don't have any orbitals to help with that. Even just a small orbital will definitely help with that, guys. But the little orbitals he has are probably one of the coolest additions, I think, to this boss. I like that he has his own little orbitals that are eternal, and then he can block your own tears. I thought that was a cool addition.
Thank you.
The flies, not so relevant. They die so fast.
Yeah, it's more a thematic thing because, as you know, Blue Baby, he's blue because he suffocated. So the flies represent the idea of death and him suffocating and death. But yeah, I can see how as far as a design or as a play mechanic, especially when you're this powered up, it doesn't matter. But we have new fun things that we're going to do that will make the newer bosses more relevant, regardless of what weapon combinations you have.
That sounds awesome. All right, if you'll give me just 1 second, I'm gonna go put my bird up so we quit squawking, and I'll be right back. It'll take me like a minute. You can answer any questions you want in chat or anything you want.
All right.
If you want to stick around for a minute here.
I will try to speed read through the chat right now as people are in here.
All right, I'll be right back, guys. Give me 1 second.